Okay, I'd like to introduce a website to you called Get Information About Schools. It's a really helpful source of useful information for any caseworker, any local branch secretary. In fact, many colleagues in schools, reps may also find it useful. It really does take you to a whole range and wealth of information. So I'm going to start by just introducing the three tabs that you see here. Find an establishment will work for any maintained school, any voluntary aided school, and any academy. With the voluntary aided schools, you sometimes do need, if you're putting in, for example, St Thomas More, you sometimes need to put in the full name for Saint, S-A-I-N-T. Sometimes S-T will work. Finding establishment groups particularly helpful if you know the full name of a multi-academy trust. But I'm going to start with a voluntary aided school where some caseworkers have asked me recently for some advice and support. So the name of the school is Murray Court Catholic High School, and I'm going to search for that. And you'll see this is a standard format of information. It shows the type of school, the name of the head teacher, the local authority. And in the area in the middle here with the highlighted blue links, there are two areas that are extremely helpful to us that are going to take us to additional information. One is the OFSTED report, and it says that opens in a new tab, which I'm going to select. And what you'll see when we open that tab is it doesn't just take you to the most recent OFSTED report, it actually takes you to the OFSTED reports going back to 2003 for this particular school. Now that might be a source of information, depending on what you're looking at, that you want to reflect on and access. So I'm going to return to the Get Information for Schools website now. And the next tab we're going to go to is the School Financial Benchmarking website. But I'd also draw your attention to the fact that there's some other information here that if you're not familiar with the school, you may find helpful. For example, it's got a sixth form. The total maximum number of pupils in the school is 1,528 in this case, and the number of pupils currently in the school is 1,214. So there's capacity there for the school to increase its pupil population, and of course that means securing jobs or potentially more jobs for our members and support staff members. The information was last updated, I can see, on the 3rd of March. So that's that very first landing page, I'm going to say. The next place we're going to go to look at is the School Financial Benchmarking site. That opens in a new page, and again you'll see some of that information is replicated here, name of the head teacher, OFSTED report. But if we scroll down further, you'll see some information that starts to become potentially very helpful, whether it's staffing review, staffing restructure, you've got a meeting with the employer and you want to be informed of the current financial situation. For a maintained school or a voluntary aided school, the information for 1920 here runs up to the 31st of March, and it's the same for any other year information that we'll see in a few moments. If this was an academy, the information would run to the 31st of August in the particular year. There are 4 tabs that you'll see across here now, 3 of which are highlighted in blue. And the 4 tabs are expenditure, income, balance, and workforce. I can see just at a glance on this dashboard of information that in red on the right hand side, the school is spending more money than it's actually taken in income in the academic year 1920. And when I move further down, that's broken down into total expenditure, staff totals, and you can see that that's graphed over the last 5 years, occupational costs, and it breaks it down even further, much of which is, from my point of view, not as purposeful and useful for caseworkers. I'm going to change the display from a chart display or a line graph display to a table display. And the two tabs that I find most useful are the balance tab and then the workforce tab. So we're going to open up the balance tab first of all and have a look here. And I can see that the in-year balance over the last 5 years is not a healthy looking picture. For 4 of the last 5 years, the school has been overspending its income to a significant amount. Excuse me. If we look at the bottom, information for revenue reserves, this shows how much cash the school has left in the bank. It doesn't include capital reserves which it may have for building projects or window replacement programs. And again, I can see here that the narrative or the direction of travel of these figures is down. And for a school with a total income of approximately £7.5 million from the previous information we've seen, that reserves of £348,000, which continue to reduce, are likely to trigger a staffing review. Now, the branch officers in Sefton raised a query about staffing reviews. They've both been in position for the last 3 years and have confirmed that the school hasn't undertaken a staffing review and consulted with trade unions in those 3 years. So if we now look at the workforce tab, we can see that actually the workforce has been reducing. It might be helpful just to switch back to charts just so we can visually see that. The school workforce in total has declined over the last 5 years. The total number of teachers have declined. And when we look at senior leadership teams also declined, and some of the other job families that are non-teaching, as we scroll down, we can see have declined. That would suggest, and I'm just going to go back to the physical numbers now, that over the last 3 years that the branch officers have been involved, that just over 3 full-time equivalent roles have been deleted from the school staffing structure. And if we look at the teaching workforce, we can see that 2 of those posts in 17-18, between 17-18 and 18-19 have been on the teaching side, and a further reduction has taken place of over 1 full-time equivalent, 1.7 full-time equivalents actually, between 18-19 and 19-20. That would suggest that the school is altering its staffing structure and not consulting with the recognised trade unions. So that generates a number of questions for branch officers. I'm going to leave this segment now.